Early in-person voting began Saturday in Detroit, and both former President Trump and Vice President Harris campaigned in Michigan this weekend. I'm joined now by national political correspondent Steve Kornacki for more on where the race stands. Steve, I know you are looking at the battleground states today.
Yeah, Kristen, and looking at the one you just mentioned, Michigan, look, this is our running average of the polling averages in the battleground states. They're all close, but what's the closest right now? Look at that. Michigan, the average there. Harris, by 1/10 of 1 point. Really doesn't get closer than that. So let's dive into Michigan, what we're going to be looking at in the home stretch and on election night. And the key thing with Michigan, of course, go back to the last election. You just heard from Barack Obama there. Before Donald Trump came on the scene, Barack Obama and the Democrats won Michigan handily. Trump, of course, flipped it barely in 2016, and then it moved a little bit back to the Democrats in 2020. But the key is between 2012 and 2020, the Trump era, the state as a whole got a lot less Democratic. So keeping that in mind, we've split it into three categories here. Take a look. One way to think about it. One is, despite the state getting less Democratic, there are 9 counties that got more Democratic in the Trump era. Look at this. From 2012, Barack Obama won this collection of counties by 6. By 2020, it was a 14-point Biden blowout. There's only 9 of them, but they are 1/3 of the state. Each one of these has a higher share of white voters with college degrees than the statewide average. We talk about that a lot as the core Democratic base these days. You see it in these counties you got highlighted here. Next year, these are places where Trump made gains between 2012 2016 and where he held those gains in 2020. And you do see geographically, it's a fair amount of the state, but population-wise, this is only 15% of the state. Some of the movement in some of these counties isn't that significant, but in others, talk about like Genesee County, where Flint is, Democrats were winning by 30 when Obama was the candidate. Now the Democratic margin down to like 10. Can Trump squeeze more out of this population-wise relatively small share of the state? And then this is half the state. In terms of where the vote is, these are places where Trump made gains, sometimes big gains in 16, then lost ground in 2020. This, I think, is where the state's going to be won or lost. Look at like Saginaw County here, where the city of Saginaw is. This is sort of a core, swing county. We're going to talk a lot about that on election night. You've got just outside Detroit, Macomb County, the old blue-collar big suburbs of Detroit. Obama won them. Trump won them by double digits in 2016, then gave back ground in 2020. That's a key one. And then the city of Detroit itself in Wayne County, the biggest in the state. Within Wayne County, we're going to be looking at, the city of Detroit and the city of Dearborn. In Detroit, Democrats worried about black voter support, black male voter support for Biden. Going to see Detroit will be a measure of that. In Dearborn, a large Muslim population. We're going to be looking on election night. Is that Israel-Palestine situation affecting the vote there, Kristen?
Yeah, it could potentially loom large over everything. Steve Kornacki, fascinating as always. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.